get your head in the game, gotta get your head in the game, gotta get your head in the game, gotta get your head in the game.
I see when I touch your body. Whoa, she said she wanted me forever.
So what are you gonna do?
Hey, little girl, to come to in the night. I'm the one that she know gon' do right. Working that frame, girl, you know I'm losing my mind.
The summer thunder of 2005 hit like a drum line when five bright-eyed Florida brothers bounced onto the scene in matching white jackets, moonwalking across BET's 106 and Park stage as if they'd been born under studio light. Viewers felt an electric deja vu. Here was a modern echo of the Jackson 5, tight family harmony, gravity-defying spins, and that disarming sense that fame was just a playground for kids who never missed a rehearsal. But long after the screams faded, the Breeding Brothers would discover that behind every glittering label logo lurks a maze of contracts, delayed promises, and grown man politics that no dance rehearsal can prepare you for. Tonight, we're unpacking the meteoric rise, sudden silences, surprise comebacks, and still unanswered questions surrounding America's R&B boy band, B5. The story starts in the humid suburbs of St. Louis, Petersburg, Florida, where eldest brother Dustin lined his siblings up in the living room like miniature temptation. Kelly, Patrick, and Brian followed the choreography as naturally as breathing, while cousin Carnell, whose mother was lost to domestic violence when he was still in diapers, found a new definition of family in the Breeding household. Their mother, Bobby, saw two choices: let the boys roughhouse around the neighborhood or pour that wildfire energy into talent shows. So she loaded the minivan with folding chairs, glitter jackets, and a portable CD player, crisscrossing Florida to every county fair stage that still smelled of funnel cake. By 12, they were Radio Disney regulars, annihilating every lip sync contest until the network finally turned them into house dancers just to keep them off the competitor list. Still, local trophies weren't enough. Manager Kevin Coach K. Wales convinced the family to try Atlanta, then the mecca of early 2000s R&B, where industry lobby hallways echoed with "Yeah" and "Crank That." Wales suggested adding the youngest, 9-year-old Brian. The older boys worried a kid that small might trip during spin, yet they let him audition and instantly realized he was the missing high note. Rechristened B5, short for Breeding 5, the group landed a meeting with Bad Boy CEO Sean Diddy Combs, who listened stone-faced until Brian belted the bridge of "All I Do Is Think of You" and cracked Diddy's signature grin. Puff put them in his iconic All in the Videos pep talk and promised a debut bigger than life. 2 years later, that promise crashed through the Billboard 200 at number 19. Their self-titled album blended bubblegum romance with slick Rodney Jerkins production, framing the boys as PG-rated heartthrobs for the MySpace era. The plan worked too well. At a 2005 Radio Disney Jingle Jam in Minneapolis, thousands of tweens bum-rushed the Brookdale Center stage, yanking Dustin's chain, ripping Patrick's sleeve, even swiping Carnell's sneakers before security dragged the delirious crowd back. Mall management called it a near riot. Inside the tour bus that night, the boys stared at their torn outfits, equal parts terrified and exhilarated, while Diddy laughed. "That's how you know you made it." Fate flipped the narrative just as fast. Bad Boy's momentum stalled when sophomore album Don't Talk, Just Listen shipped with minimal promo. Bow Wow-assisted single Hydraulics sputtered on radio, and the label quietly cut budgets. Suddenly, meet and greets shrank from arenas to state fairs, and B5 vanished from TRL rotations without warning. Their manager suggested a fresh coat of paint. They shaved the braids, rebranded as Audio, and tried edgier synth-pop demos. Fans blinked, confused. Journalists ignored the name change. Booking calls slowed to a trickle. Rather than flame out publicly, the brothers slipped home to Atlanta, finishing high school under the radar, hoping the industry would forget long enough for them to reset. 6 years of normal life felt luxurious until Motown Records rang in 2013. Executives pitched a grown man version of B5, promising creative control and a summer rollout. Lead singles Say Yes dropped to solid streaming numbers and even landed a primetime debut on BET's 106 and Park reboot, but a month later Motown shelved the companion album without explanation. Carnell, once the quiet middle child, exploded on Instagram, calling the label a graveyard of empty promises and urging fans to picket outside Motown's Manhattan office. The post went viral, then disappeared, but the damage was done. Motown ghosted B5 and the brothers severed ties. With no label cushioning the fall, each sibling charted a solo lane. Dustin uploaded his EP Different straight to SoundCloud and founded Michael Lane Entertainment, vowing never to hand masters over again. Patrick previewed BFILG on Instagram, sampling Maze's Before I Let Go, while Kelly, now stylizing himself, Kel, dropped the dance floor ode, Don't Know How to Dance. Streaming pennies trickled in, but ownership tasted sweeter than any major label advance. By 2017, they'd learned to book their own flight, design their own merch, and negotiate club splits, skills no teen star ever imagines needing at 13. The real plot twist came from nostalgia economics. Concert promoter G Squared Events floated an idea, a Millennium Tour uniting early 2000s acts like B2K, Pretty Ricky, and Lloyd. B5 pitched in creative theme, even helped secure venues, yet when the final lineup dropped, their name was missing. Pretty Ricky later invited them to make a surprise appearance at the Atlanta stop, where hometown screams rattled the rafters and Twitter briefly trended number B5 reunion. Backed by that surge, the brothers released the slick single Do That and announced an EP titled New Jackson, a wink to their childhood idols. Then 2020 arrived, a year that magnified every unfinished contract in the industry. On July 19th, Brian marked the 15-year anniversary of their debut by posting a candid bombshell. We've never seen a penny from our B5 album. 99% of our income came from touring and merch. He tagged fellow Bad Boy alumni Mahashi and 112, adding that lawyers had long avoided their case. Patrick jumped into the comments to accuse Disney of skipping royalty payments for a rap verse he wrote for Get Your Head in the Game on the High School Musical soundtrack. For fans who once framed B5 posters on bedroom walls, it was a sobering reminder that glitter-coated childhood fame can morph into adult litigation nightmares. Yet creativity proved harder to silence than bank statements. Locked down during the pandemic, Carnell wrote and self-produced a moody mixtape called Amethyst, mixing lo-fi guitars with falsetto laments. Dustin tested TikTok's algorithm with dance challenges. Brian launched a lo-fi R&B project under his own name, preaching spiritual R&B to 50,000 Instagram followers. By the time venues reopened, they had amassed millions of indie streams, small by label standards, but large enough to prove they could still pack a house. May 2024 sealed that bet. Tickets for a one-night-only B5 show at New York's legendary SOBs sold out in 48 hours. Promoters quickly added VIP meet and greets that moved just as fast. Hours before sound check, the brothers huddled backstage, this time without choreographers or label reps, only a Spotify playlist, a shared Cash App QR code for merch, and an arrangement to split the door 4 ways after paying the band. They walked on stage to the opening synths of Give It Back, their 2024 comeback single, whose hook cheekily warns, "If you steal my shine, I'll just make it brighter." Phone lights glittered like digital lighter, and for a moment the past 20 years compressed into a single beat drop. Just when observers thought the cycle might repeat, B5 zigzagged again. On May 3rd, 2025, Urban Bridges reported the group had quietly delivered a brand new EP called Still Think About You, pairing nostalgic harmonies with grown man lyrics about fatherhood, trust, and owning your masters. The release doubles as a victory lap for the upcoming 20th anniversary of their debut album, an anniversary they're celebrating on their own terms, with independent distribution and a promise that quarterly statement will finally land in the right mailboxes. So what really stalled B5 all those years? Was it Bad Boy's notorious royalty structure, Motown's stop-and-start bureaucracy, or simply the fickle tides of early 2000s teen pop fans aging into adulthood? Maybe it's all three, but one lesson rings louder than any falsetto high note. Longevity comes not from the first headlining tour, but from the ability to course correct after each crash, to trade teenage innocence for grown man agency, and to keep harmonizing even when the spotlight swings elsewhere. Today, each breeding brother is a father, an entrepreneur, and, most surprisingly, still willing to climb back on stage together. Whether New Jacksons ever drops or not, their saga now doubles as an industry survival masterclass for every wide-eyed kid belting cover songs on TikTok. And if you're still humming, All I Do Is Think of You, remember, the song may belong to the Jackson 5, but the comeback belongs entirely to B5.